All right, and welcome to the news from the home front. Let's start with how President Paul Biya betrayed Ambazonia, sold out the Kansas City 3 and fooled Washington for over 4 decades. Colonial President Paul Biya has ruled not as a president, but as a CEO of a corporate dictatorship, with France as shareholder, lobbyists in Washington as PR, and cronies in Yaoundé as board members. In this system, betrayal is not a flaw, it is a policy. Proxies are created, used, and discarded like business assets. The Ambazonian people promised autonomy since their 1961 plebiscite have faced this betrayal at every turn. From the collapse of the Federation to the erasure of their identity in 1984. What remains is a brutal pattern. The regime creates crisis, manufactures enemies, and then uses those same tools to seek international legitimacy. The Ambazonian Defense Forces, once seen as a grassroots resistance, were in fact co-opted by colonial Paul Biya's regime as a convenient pawn. As investigative journalist Grace Buckley revealed, figures like Ellie Smith, Colonel Bankoi, and Paul Etanganji enabled the ADF's operations, supplying them, shielding them, and deploying them when needed. When ADF fighters paraded openly in branded trucks, while other separatist groups stayed in hiding, many asked, who protected them? The answer pointed not to Oslo or Toronto, but to Yaoundé. The ADF became the regime's mask, staging attacks that justified a brutal military crackdown while framing the conflict as extremism on both sides. This internal manipulation soon extended abroad, with the Biden administration warming up to Biya's lobbyists. The regime offered up indictments as political currencies. The Kansas City 3 Ambazonians living in the US were turned into bargaining chips, while others, known commanders, remained untouched in Canada. Justice, we say, was selective, and the message was clear. The regime was willing to sacrifice its own former proxies, like the ADF, to buy renewed legitimacy in Washington. Behind closed doors, Cameroon sold narratives, not accountability, and in doing so, traded human lives for a seat at the table of international diplomacy. As the regime's double crosses come to light, Amazonians are left bearing the cost, vilified abroad, massacred at home, and manipulated by those who once claimed to lead them. The system that betrayed them is cracking, but so too are the illusions that kept them hopeful. From French-style presidential absolutism to foreign-backed impunity, the entire foundation is rotten. What remains is a stark truth. Compromise with Yaoundé has only ever led to betrayal. The path forward demands not more deals with the devil, but clarity, unity, and a refusal to be anyone's pawn again. In this corporate war against the people, Ambazonia must choose survival through self-definition, not submission at this point. Well, that's not all. One of the reasons why Ambazonia must stay resolute is the fact that President Paul Biya has authorized a 9.2 million euro loan from ISDB for basic education projects. President Paul Biya has authorized the signing of a new loan agreement with the Islamic Development Bank through its Islamic Solidarity Fund for Development to support the improvement of basic education in Cameroon, so they said. Well, the financing agreement amounting to 9.2 million euros if you approximate that, is about 6 billion francs CFA. They say it will fund the basic education system project in the Cameroons. According to them, the loan will be signed by the Minister of Economy, Planning and Regional Development on behalf of the Cameroonian government. The PAEBC aims to enhance access to quality basic education, particularly in underserved areas. And then you will ask yourself, which areas are the underserved areas? And also, they say that this will support government effort to strengthen the educational system through infrastructure development, teachers training, I beg your pardon, and provision of learning materials. You'll pause here and ask, why now when school has already resumed? If you want to take loans for school education, it should be months before a new session begins. But we all know the gimmicks. While borrow just a few weeks to the general elections. Well, this new loan adds to the French Cameroon's public owing debt, which has been a point of national and international scrutiny. However, the government maintains that such financing is essential for meeting critical development goals, especially in the educational sector. They say the agreement with the ISDB aligns with what they tag as the French Cameroon's broader strategy to leverage international partnership for socio-economic development under its Vision 2035 framework. But we must also add here that they are leading when it comes to owing in Africa. And we have seen one of the reasons they are deceiving the people that they are borrowing for. Mr. Paddy, at this point, I wouldn't know, would you, by any chance, think that such a debt would be for children, not to talk of for education, or you think it's just a gimmick for the next coming elections?